Join us for a walking tour through Buenos Aires. We check off the must-see sites in this amazing city, go beyond the tourist stops and get the real BA. From historic cafés to a night at the opera. Let's go. This is Buenos Aires. This is Trailblazing Adventures.
I was born in Argentina and lived in Buenos Aires for more than 30 years. Let me take you for a walk through some iconic stops, some local favorites, and some hidden gems. Let's go.
This itinerary covers the city's must-see at leisurely pace. Plan for a full day. You can find the map and full itinerary on our blog at trailblazingadventures.com. Link in the description. We start at the historic Plaza de Mayo, the epicenter of Buenos Aires history. From revolution against Spain to Evita's famous speech from the balcony of the Pink House, this square has witnessed Argentina's most defining moment. Right in front, the Casa Rosada, Argentina's presidential palace. We turn around and we see an equestrian statue with Argentina's greatest national hero, General José de San Martín, known in Argentina as the Libertador de las Américas. He led the independence campaigns that freed not just Argentina but also Chile and Peru. At the center of the plaza, the Avenida de Mayo was built to commemorate the revolution of 1810, when Buenos Aires took its first step towards independence from Spain. Turn around and you'll see the Cabildo, the colonial-era town hall where that revolution was first declared. From the outside, the Metropolitan Cathedral, with its neoclassical columns and triangular pediment, looks more like a Greek temple than a church. But as we step inside, it's a different story. The interior is bathed with warm yellow hues, with painted ceilings and marble-clad walls, giving it an almost European Baroque feel. On the right, a chapel stands apart from the rest of the cathedral. This is the mausoleum of General San Martín. The tomb is guarded by granaderos, the elite regiment he founded himself. Around the tomb, the names of battles he fought: San Lorenzo, Chacabuco, Maipú, and more, serve as a reminder of his role in the liberation of Argentina, Chile, and Peru. We leave Plaza de Mayo and head up Diagonal Norte, officially named Avenida Roque Sáenz Peña. This avenue was designed in the early 20th century to connect the Casa Rosada with the Obelisco. As we walk, take a moment to admire the imposing architecture on both sides. One of the most striking buildings is this rounded corner tower, built in 1926. At some point, the headquarters of the then Bank of Boston, my first job out of college. Leaving Diagonal Norte, we arrive at Avenida de Mayo, the grand avenue that connects Buenos Aires' two most important squares, Plaza de Mayo and Plaza Congreso. The architecture here reflects the city's golden age at the turn of the 20th century, with a clear influence from Paris and Madrid. Many of the buildings have ornate facades, rounded domes, and elegant iron balconies, giving the street a distinctly European feel. Wide sidewalks and rows of sycamore trees completes the scene. One of the most famous stops here is Café Tortoni. Founded in 1858, it's often described as the most classic café in Buenos Aires. And while the interior is undeniably beautiful, the truth is that it has become more of a tourist attraction than an authentic cafe experience. Even its street-side window bar, once a perfect spot to grab a quick cortado and watch the city go by, is now hidden behind curtains. So today, we will move on. I take you later to a true porteño cafe. And if you're wondering, porteño is what locals proudly call themselves here in Buenos Aires. Continuing up Avenida de Mayo, we reach Avenida 9 de Julio, the widest avenue in the world, spanning an impressive 140 meters with up to 16 lanes of traffic. Crossing it takes a couple of green lights. As we make our way, take a look at your left. On the Ministry of Public Works building, you'll see the massive steel relief of Eva Perón. She's depicted mid-speech, microphone in hand, looking out over the city. On the right, you see Obelisco, Buenos Aires' iconic landmark, of which we will have a closer view later in the tour. Between Avenida 9 de Julio and Plaza Congreso, we find Café 36 Billares, an authentic Buenos Aires café where locals stop for coffee or lunch. This is the kind of place where you can sit among locals, enjoy a great coffee, and take in the surroundings. Gracias. And if you feel like it, why not join someone for a game of billiard? This café captures the bohemian charm of Avenida de Mayo. But later on, I will take you to another iconic café, this time more upscale, but just as full of character. With our stamina recharged with a dose of caffeine, we continue our walk up Avenida de Mayo and arrive at the building that is both an architectural gem and a riddle. Tribute to Dante's Divine Comedy, the Palacio Barolo. From the outside, Barolo's eclectic mix of neo-Romanesque, neo-Gothic, and Art Nouveau makes the building stand out. The central tower, inspired by Hindu temples like Rajarani in India, symbolizes Dante's ascent through paradise. Step inside, and the imposing lobby immediately immerses you in Dante's world. This entrance hall represents Inferno, the first section of the Divine Comedy. The 9 arches in the gallery symbolize the 9 circles of hell, and throughout the space you'll find Latin inscriptions, grotesque figures, and dramatic lighting that reinforces the theme. Take your time and admire the mosaic floor, the marble columns, and the beautifully preserved antique elevators. Right next door to the Barolo, another imposing building catches the eye, topped with some of Buenos Aires' characteristic domes. And speaking of domes, if you do this tour and manage to keep track on how many you spot along the way, let me know in the comments. We've arrived at Plaza del Congreso, and one of the first masterpieces that greet us is Rodin's The Singer. This bronze sculpture, cast in 1907, is one of the few original versions displayed outdoors in a public space. Its acquisition coincided with Argentina's era of opulence, when the nation ranked amongst the world's wealthiest countries at the turn of the 20th century. Overlooking the plaza is the Palacio del Congreso, Argentina's National Congress building. Constructed between 1898 and 1906, it showcases a blend of Italian Renaissance and a classical Roman architectural styles. From this vantage point, near the Thinker, we have an excellent view of the Congress building. Next, we'll turn onto Bartolomé Mitre Street to explore some hidden gems beyond the typical tourist trail. one of my favorite streets in Buenos Aires, Pasaje Rivarola, a street so unique that I always dream of living in one of its apartments. What makes this one-block street special? Perfect symmetry. Each side is a mirror image of the other, creating an almost surreal effect. As you walk, you immerse yourself in a world of balance and order. It feels like something straight out of a Borges short story. And while you are here, stop by Asunto Impreso, a charming little bookstore tucked away in the passage. We are back on Avenida 9 de Julio, but now much closer to the city's most iconic landmark, the Obelisco. Standing at the corner of Corrientes and 9 de Julio, we walk towards it, taking in the urban energy of Buenos Aires. As you approach, you'll find a ramp with stairs at the corner of Roque Sáenz Peña and 9 de Julio. This spot provides an excellent and safe vantage point for capturing stunning pictures of the Obelisco and surrounding avenues. We arrive at the Teatro Colón, inaugurated in 1908 and frequently hailed as one of the world's premier opera houses. The theater's exterior showcases an eclectic architectural style, blending Italian, French, and Greek influences, and it occupies an entire city block. While guided tours offer insights into the theater's rich history, nothing compares to the experience of an actual opera performance here. The grand entrance hall welcomes you with towering marble columns, ornate balustrades, and dazzling chandeliers. The interior is pure cinematic grandeur, featuring plush red seats, a magnificent chandelier, and a ceiling adorned with a painting by the celebrated Argentine artist Raúl Soldi. This evening, we have the pleasure of attending a spectacular production of Aida, the very opera that inaugurated the Teatro Colón in 1908. Right next to the Colón, we venture to the large La Valle Square, surrounded by important buildings. We continue walking down Libertad Street and come across yet another magnificent theater, Teatro Nacional Cervantes. Check its ornate Spanish Baroque style facade. Buenos Aires is often considered a city with the most theaters in the world, with over 300 venues hosting everything from classic plays to avant-garde performances. If at any stage of this tour you start feeling hungry, a great option is to stop by one of the classic cafés in Buenos Aires. And if you want a true porteño café experience, order a tostado. A tostado de jamón y queso is simple yet iconic Buenos Aires sandwich, made with thin, crustless white bread, toasted golden brown, and filled with ham and melted cheese. We continue walking down Libertad Street, passing by Cinco Esquinas, a unique intersection where 5 streets meet, creating an unusual urban layout. We arrive at Plazoleta Carlos Pellegrini, often considered Buenos Aires' most elegant square. Surrounded by stunning French-style buildings, this area shows the grandeur of early 20th century Argentina. Among the most striking landmarks here is the French Embassy, a Beaux-Arts masterpiece that was saved from demolition when Avenida 9 de Julio was expanded. Facing the embassy is another emblem of Buenos Aires' old aristocracy, the Jockey Club. This exclusive members-only club has been a meeting point for the city's wealthy elite for over a century, originally founded to promote horse racing and high society events. We turn onto Alvear Avenue, one of the most elegant streets in Buenos Aires, where French-inspired architecture and luxury define the landscape. This avenue is home of some of city's most opulent mansions, embassies, and high-end hotels. At the end of Avenida Alvear, we arrive at Recoleta, one of Buenos Aires' most emblematic neighborhoods. Its green spaces, cultural landmarks, and cafés make it the perfect spot to pause and take in the city's elegance. The area gets its name from the Recoleta Cemetery, the final resting place of some of Argentina's most renowned figures, including Eva Perón. Right next to the cemetery, we find the Iglesia Nuestra Señora del Pilar, one of the oldest churches in Buenos Aires. Its pristine white facade stands as a beautiful example of Spanish colonial architecture. Step inside to admire the golden Baroque altarpiece and its elegant simplicity. Nearby, you'll see the massive Gomero de la Recoleta, a tree that's been growing here for over 200 years. Next to it stands Atlas, forever holding up a branch, a unique addition to this urban landscape. No visit to Recoleta is complete without a stop at La Biela, a café that's been serving locals and visitors for decades. This legendary café is a shrine to Buenos Aires' deep love for motorsports, with photos and tributes to legendary racers like Juan Manuel Fangio.
Acá en la Biela, typical merienda porteña, coffee and medialunas, accompanying, Boris and Joy. We bid you farewell, and as always, happy.